Welcome to Casey Cares, Kansas City's voice for nonprofits. We share the stories of local nonprofits and the people behind them. At Casey Cares, we connect the nonprofit and the business sector to enhance the quality of life here in Kansas City for our residents and our visitors. This Casey Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. I'm Ruth Von Biggus. At Casey Cares, we love shining a light on nonprofits whose passion is matched only by the impact they make. And this week's guest is a perfect example. The Hope Center KC has been a pillar of support on the east side of Kansas City since 1998, uplifting more than 100 families, children, and youth through transformational community and youth development programs. From leadership and character building programs for students in grades K through 12 to parents as partners, men's support groups, community outreach, and family-focused events, the Hope Center KC is creating pathways to brighter futures every single day. To share more about this powerful work, we're joined by the Hope Center KC's Executive Director, Marvin Daniels. Well, let's dive in and get all the inspiration of the great work that you all are doing. Marvin, I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ruth. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
All right. Well, I have to, full disclosure, I found out about your organization at a TV station that I think that you were on for an upcoming fashion show of some kind. Some event, it was like, oh my goodness, can't wait to have you all on. All right. So share with us what your organization is about and really the mission and the heart of it.
Yes, great. The Hope Center has been in function now for 27 years. Started off as a grassroots youth outreach program, just hitting the streets, getting to know children and families, and collectively as a group of young adults originally, just wanting to connect and make a difference in the urban core. It, of course, blossomed and have grown from that point on, from 1998 to where we are today as a community and youth development organization. We're faith-based in terms of our motivation in what we do, but we serve our community with authenticity. And so what these last 27 years as a neighbor here on the east side of Kansas City, our vision has always been to develop healthy communities where the vulnerable will have hope and be able to flourish as a result.
How did this start? Was it a grassroots kind of a thing? Give us a little peek behind the curtain.
Yes, the former founder, Chris and Tammy Jaley, they were really interested in wanting to make an impact in the urban core. They stemmed and hailed over from the Leewood Community Prairie Village area. They were going to Heartland Community Church at the time. They had just had a burden for the urban core. Chris was a former counselor at Kids Across America Camp, where he really got entrenched and engaged with urban youth. And so it just started with a collection of young adults just wanting to do something. Rather, it was jumping rope, playing basketball in the basketball courts. And when they gathered students together, they started having conversations, which led to Bible studies together. And it was at a point as they were growing that these young people said that they desire to have a place that they can call their own. And it was those students who actually gave the Hope Center its name. We're called the Hope Center because the students named it that. Now, there's 120 different entities between the Missouri and Kansas side that carry the name Hope in them. And as I took over the realm in 2014 as the executive director and CEO, I had an idea of wanting to change that name. But because the students named it, we kept the name and said it will always be the Hope Center because that's the way the students we were serving and those who were entrusted to us actually saw the work that we were doing.
Okay, well, you mentioned the students named it, but there are a lot of groups that have hopes. So as a nonprofit, how do you work to differentiate and make sure everybody knows it's you versus another, I'm sure, wonderful organization?
Yes, yes. And so we officially are known as the Hope Center Incorporated, Inc. But I added the Hope Center KC to differentiate the fact that we
Aha.
as the Hope Center is here in Kansas City because there's several around the country, number one. And then number two, even though for the last 27 years we've been somewhat quiet on the east side of Kansas City as it relates to the city overall, our neighbors have been our testimonies and our stories. They definitely know who we are. So we know that if we were to disappear, that we would be missed because of our community and because of our neighbors and the impact that we've had in their lives in helping them to learn how to have hope and to thrive.
You started there in 2014. I think it's always interesting to find out how nonprofit leaders get to where they are. Would you share with us kind of your journey to Hope Center KC?
My journey goes back. First of all, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. That's my hometown on the East Coast. Went to college in Philadelphia at Cheney State University, one of the first historically Black colleges and universities in the nation. Went back to New York with my degree in journalism and graphic arts technology. Worked for Channel 4 for a stint as they lay out artists and special effects cameramen. And it was a wonderful thing. That was really my passion, is working in that industry. But I had the opportunity to volunteer to teach photography to some
Mm.
junior high kids in Brooklyn at a community center. And a 3 hour class on Saturdays, it turned out to be 2 hours of sharing life with them and 1 hour of photography. And it was just that God used that to just change my heart towards the same passion I had for the industry of graphic arts and journalism to now focus on young people in their personal development. And that led me to leave Channel 4 to join Young Life as a
Mm.
staff person on Young Life and a staff member of Covenant House that was working with teen runaways and teen prostitutes on the Lower East Side of Kansas City. And then I came to in New York. And then I came to Kansas City um, in 1987 and 1988, where I was going to seminary at Nazarene Theological Seminary, but I was doing Young Life clubs throughout the city of Kansas City. We had a group for Korean students. We had a group for low-income white students, a group for African-American students. And that in itself was just flourishing. I had a chance to work alongside as a volunteer at the Jackson County Juvenile Court System and do recreation in small groups for them. And so it just continued to elevate my own love and passion for young people. From there, I moved to Chicago, where I served with the Salvation Army as their program manager. I was in charge of 27 programs that I founded
Wow.
during that time, from infants to senior citizens, to community programs and core programs for the Salvation Army. Wonderful experiences. Had the chance to be in Chicago and to learn from the Erickson Institute in youth development so I could build even more skills in my own craft in working with young people and understanding child and youth development principles and practices. And then we end up moving to Boston. Got married in Chicago, moved to Boston. And while I was in Boston, I had the privilege of serving as a violence prevention coordinator for the Boston Public Schools. I was situated at Cambridge University, at Ridge Latin High School, where I was the mediation coordinator, sandwiched between Harvard and MIT. Learned a lot between those two institutions. Gleaned a lot from the professors who poured into me from those institutions. I had the opportunity to get my certification in dispute resolution at Harvard University. And so that gave me the opportunity to really put in the principles and practices of conflict resolution and mediation skills. And I was training students all throughout the city. And we had a tremendous impact upon the drop of violence and suspension in the public schools in Boston during that time between 90 and 94. We developed a violence prevention initiative called the 10 Point Coalition. I was youth pastor in a multi-ethnic church that spoke 18 different languages, 24 different nationalities. It was the peak of what we were doing. And I had my first son
Oh,
actually in Boston. And so during that time, we realized, though we were thriving there, that my wife really wanted to be around family, raising our first child. So we went back to Chicago, where I had the opportunity to also work on the South Side with young people, both as a youth pastor and also still doing trainings in the schools. And then from that journey, I joined Compassion International, whereas their Midwest regional facilitator. And now I'm putting into practice these child and youth development practices in 7 states and 15 cities in the Midwest. It was a phenomenal time. After the 5-year period, they kind of phased out our division. I joined the staff of Kids Across America camps, had the privilege of serving as their director of leadership development. We ran a program called Higher Ground, which taught young people a 3-year program about servant leadership. And they learned local service projects. We did citywide service projects around the country. And then we went internationally. And we went to 12 different countries internationally where we were putting these principles and practices of servanthood into effect. And it was, again, this was a phenomenal program. There was nothing like it across the nation that had the combination of all 3 sectors in local, urban mission projects and international. And it was a phenomenal 13 years being at Kids Across America. But even in the midst of my training with the DeVos Urban Leadership Initiative and in my training with Kids Across America around the country, we just realized that there was just a tug of the heart to go back into the urban core. And where there was a variety of places we could have gone, we came back to Kansas City because the whole family could be involved. And at this time, I have 5 children, 3 sons, 2 daughters, and my wife and I. And it has been from that point an opportunity to put into practice all the things that we was teaching and training as well.
how lucky we are to have you in our community.
That was a full circle experience of Marvin Daniels, my own experiences and development professionally in the nonprofit sector. And so this has been 39 years now.
Can't be. You're not old enough to look like that, to have that age. Well, now we know how you got to the Hope Center KC. Talk about some of the programs and the initiatives that you all are doing in our community.
Yeah, we took a radical step when we came here. This used to be an organization known as going to pick students up and bringing them to the Hope Center to be able to institute our programs. But when we got here, we recognized that if we're going to see the vision realized and to see individuals with hope and begin to flourish, it required the entire family. So we decided that we would not go and pick up students any longer, but we would empower families to bring students. And so when we thought that was going to be risky, and it was, but it turned out to be so beneficial because we turned it into a hands up instead of hands out model where we won't do anything for anybody else that they can do for themselves. And so that empowerment piece allowed grandparents, foster parents, mom, dad, uncle, aunties to bring their students to the Hope Center. And we got a chance to know them, to be able to build relationships and friendships. And now we have such a strong parent and family relationships in our community that it's what strengthens the community and strengthens our program. So we have a 4-tier youth development program where we focus on after school programs with our children that are K through 4th grade, and they have the opportunity to have STEAM activities and really get a chance to learn specifically how to make connections between what we call life and faith as well, what I believe and how I behave. We also have a captain training program. When people talk about, well, What do you mean by faith? Does it mean you constantly preach to kids? No. We help them to learn how to live life. And so our character and training program teaches them the very essence of interpersonal skills, self-identity and self-esteem, how to be able to build relationships and friendships, their importance in the role in their families, and how to utilize finance as stewards, not just as consumers. And so we really help to develop the character of our students. And we don't do that just through our aimless curriculum. This is an asset-based approach that we want to continue to develop specific skills that reduces high-risk behaviors in the lives of our young people. We do the same thing with our high school and junior high school groups, as they also learn leadership development from the perspective of servanthood. So we have a mantra that says, the more you're able to wash a person's feet, the act of service is the greater your leadership. And none of us can teach that without practicing it ourselves. So I'm the lead foot washer in this community and on my staff, because I have to model what servant leadership looks like so that they too can put it in practice. We help them understand leadership is not based upon who has the microphone and who's in power. Leadership is based upon who you're willing to serve. So Marvin Daniels, who's the CEO of the Hope Center, should never think himself too great that I can't also clean the toilets over there in our programs. So that's the precepts that we teach in those programs. We also have a men's support group called Men's Fraternity, where we have men ages 22 through 73. The intergenerational multi-ethnic group is phenomenal to watch them learn together. And we practice the four tenets of reject passivity, accept responsibility, lead courageously, and invest eternally. And so it's those core principles that help men to reclaim themselves and their roles in their families, help individuals who are single learn how to treat the young ladies that are around them, and to be able to be that kind of model in our community once again. As men, men who know how to be sensitive and compassionate, and yet men who know how to be stern and be able to lead well. And so that's our men's group. Our women's group does the same thing. Our parents as partners, we equip our parents by listening to them. Those are listening sessions, and then there are workshops and seminars that take place as well. But more importantly, our goal is always to provide unique opportunities for our students and our parents to increase their worldview so that they can see beyond their neighborhood and understand, even when we're driving our students and our families around the city, we want them to see that this is your city, not your neighborhood, your city. Your city is vastly wide. It's all 314 square miles of a city that you can be a part of and that you belong to as well. And so it's a privilege. Our community outreach events that we do, we get the privilege of just serving for our community, to bring them together for inspiration or education together. And just recently in our fall festival, we had 1,400 people come together on our campus. Multi-ethnic, multi-generational, without incident, without accident, without drama, without trauma. Those are things you won't capture in the news all the time, but our community knows. And they see the Hope Center as a safe space, fun place as well. And so with that said, on the community development side, we have a public charter school called Hope Leadership Academy that is pre-K to fifth grade. We have a medical clinic that was established in 2009 called Hope Family Care Center, which practices general medicine and pediatrics, nutrition, phlebotomy services, dermatology services, nutritional services, and mental health services. We have a community garden that is not fenced in on the corner of Linwood and Benton Boulevards, where a master gardener in our neighborhood of Santa Fe comes and she helps with her team, and then we bring in volunteers to cultivate fruits and vegetables in the garden for everyone to be able to enjoy. And now we're working on a housing initiative to build 21 homes so that we can help build both attainable housing, but also to strengthen the middle class in our community so they can support the businesses that we seek to be able to provide in our neighborhood. We have a Learn to Earn program that is a landscape business for our teenagers so that our teenagers can learn the ethics of work and the practice of work. And in the midst of that, they get paid as well a full wage for their services. We're seeking now to do that with our hospitality services, since we just newly remodeled a historic church and turned it into a program event venue where we've held over 50 events in this historic facility. It's beautiful. It was a $7 million investment in our community. We've held over 50 events. And so we want to teach our young people how to set up and how to take down, how to utilize AV, how to practice hospitality within that context, so that, again, we're helping to create skills in the lives of our young people, but to do it from a servant leadership perspective and not from a consumeristic or a power perspective.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I gave you a hydrant, but that is what the Hope Center does.
The church that you converted, I believe it's called the Gathering Place?
Yes, the Gathering, the KC.
How did that come about? And it must be a nice revenue stream to feed the nonprofit, I'm assuming.
Not yet, but will be. So in 2005, the Hope Center was able to acquire a former Catholic church in campus, which was the former Annunciation Church. And so our office building used to be the rectory, where our playground sits used to be the nunnery. We have a basketball court that has 4 courts with fiberglass backboards that we took and created that from just some of the former ground and lots that was behind them. The school was built in 1953. Many of the parents in this community attended that school at one time. And so the church in itself, though we were utilizing the school building as a community center, even formally before it became a school, the church in itself was sitting there without power, without water, and so it was slowly decaying. And so I saw it as an asset that we had. We did not want to contribute to the ongoing blight in our community. And so in 2021, we did a study, and through Kinetic, they helped us to have a prospectus on how we could possibly raise a capital campaign to create funding for the remodel of this facility. And then we got to work in 2022 with just trying to do a capital stack that helped with the financing of this facility. 2023, they got to work through Straub Construction and Strata Architects, who are noted for their remodel of the historic sites and historic buildings. They did an excellent job, and they worked well together with us as well. And then the economy hit, and next thing you know, everything doubled. And so a $4.8 million endeavor that we started with became a $6.8 million endeavor. And we hadn't even put AV in it, or we haven't done anything in the inside in terms of setting it up. And so it became a quick $7.5 million endeavor. So we are in good shape at this point. We have a $1.8 million line of credit that we do need to eradicate. And once that is paid off, then it will become fruitful for us in terms of as a revenue. Right now, we're committed to always doing pro bono for our community immediately. Discounts for nonprofits who want to utilize our facilities and churches that want to utilize our facility. And then we try to do market rate amongst corporations and those who do weddings. And
what a creative thing, though, to take something, lift it up, and now present it to the community using that word hope again.
Yes.
So that's
and I'll
great.
never forget that one of the oldest members of our community told me that, look, Marvin, buildings have memories. And so when she said that, I knew we had to remodel this building. And so now it is a place that we want to make sure that moments create memories. And that's how we try to make sure we serve people in that facility. And it is a shining star on the corner of Linwood and Benton Boulevard.
Well, we'll share some of those pictures through our social media, that's for sure.
Yes.
So you have all these things, and how do you fund this?
Yes,
How are you
yes.
able to do it? I mean, programs cost money.
It is, and programs do cost money, and all of our programs are free. And so it's critical to have a diversification of funding. Part of that is, of course, grants and that we write to foundations, whether they're family foundations or larger foundations that we hope that we can receive grant funding from. Our church partners, we have good help from various church partners that contribute in a variety of different ways. Individual donors are the largest by far. Individuals who express their generosity, they really do represent 80% of the funding that comes into the Hope Center. Then there are events that we do and host that we hope generate good revenue. And then, of course, corporate sponsorships and the things that we do. When corporate sponsorships come about, they are very, very helpful to us as well. And so from 2014, we went from a $400,000 budget to now in 2025, a $2.1 million budget. And so it's been a wonderful experience we have 6 buildings that we own. Our school building, of course, the Gathering KC, and our office building. And then we have 3 houses, one for our men's staff, one is for our lady staff who are also interns as well that stay there, and then a house that teaches young adults how to become homeowners. And so we rent that house out to them with a modicum income stream that comes from that. And so very, very modest, but just so that they learn how to become homeowners. So our goal is to utilize our assets to see our vision come to reality. You can't create, we hear people talk about sustainability all the time, but in a community, you can't create sustainability just on economics alone, because we can build new buildings, but it doesn't guarantee good homes. So we know economics is important, but so is the education. We work in our high schools and our junior high schools. On Friday, they allow us to come in and do a program for them that really is a fun program and a learning program for those students. And so we value our educational institutions, even our own public charter school as well. We know the environment is important. People need to feel safe when they're going from one place to the other. They need to have streets that are clean. They need to see beautification in their neighborhood. They need to have clean water. And so those things are important to a community. They need to not be in a food desert like we're in, and be able to have access to healthy fruits and vegetables as well. We need good engagement. We need to see multi-ethnic and multi-generations that are developing relationships, that know how to communicate with one another, so that in doing that, it strengthens the community where people are able to go back on their porch and neighbors are talking together once again. And then, of course, the ecclesia. We need to see the faith community strengthen, churches coming out and strengthening the community and reminding the community that there is hope, and to be able to inspire and to encourage. And so when those things are working, then there's healthiness in a community. Then we can see sustainability in any neighborhood around this city, but particularly here on the east side, which has been the most disinvested side of the city.
So I want to tell everybody, go to hopecenterkc.org.
Yes.
You can find out everything. I know you take volunteers, people can make donations, etc. Marvin, thank you for spending this time with us to share this amazing nonprofit and the work that you're doing. And we wish you the very, very best. And check out Hope Center KC, everybody.
Yes, and we're still just getting started, we feel. There's more to come.
Thank you for joining us for KC Cares. We're produced by a nonprofit called Charitable Communications. This KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Mewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. Now, if you'd like to be a guest like Marvin or want to find out more about the podcast, go to our website, kccaresonline.org. And spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio, and on Instagram at KC Cares Online. And don't forget, Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, you can catch us on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on KC Cares.